morning, y'all. It's me, Angela Cook with Southern and Spicy, and today we are doing red beans and rice, Cajun, Louisiana style. And right now I am cooking the bacon, getting it ready because it's going to give it some really good smoky flavor. Just want to tell you a little bit about red beans and rice. So there is a difference between red beans and kidney beans. And so you can use either in this recipe, but I use red beans. They're a little bit smaller, they're a little bit pinker. Kidney beans are really kind of more reddish. I've got my bacon going. I have also soaked my red beans last night. I soaked them overnight. As you can tell, I've rinsed them, soaked them overnight. That way they're a little bit more tender. And if you don't want to do it overnight, there's the 1 hour method, quick method. There's the 3 hour quick method. Basically, you boil the water, 10 cups of water for an hour. Put your beans in it, let them soak for an hour, and they can continue cooking. Or you can do the 3 hour method, which is the same way, but it's just adding to your cooking time. So for me, it's better to just let them soak overnight while I'm sleeping. And so we've got our bacon going here, and I am going to add the holy trinity of Cajun cooking to this recipe, which is onion, celery, and bell pepper. And there's a saying, they call it the Holy Trinity and the Pope, which would be garlic as well. And you will find this is probably the base for most Cajun cooking recipes, one pot type cooking items. You can always tell. You can walk into a room, and if you smell this stuff cooking, these veggies cooking, you know, anybody from South Louisiana knows that smell, that aroma. So I'm going to add our onion to the bacon and our celery, and I'm going to let that saute. There's our bell pepper and our garlic as well. I do not waste garlic, so here goes. I'm putting everything in this pot. Yes. Woo! Smells like home to me. So I'm sauteing this in the bacon grease along with, add a little oil. But I don't want it to scald and have a burnt kind of flavor. So, sauteing this. I know it's a little smoky in here, but it sure does smell good. I'm the only one in the house, but if my husband was here, he'd be a happy man just smelling this. So, sauteing this in our pot, and going to add our andouille sausage, which is the best type of sausage. It's kind of a smoky pork sausage that we Cajuns use. If you can't find it in your store, sometimes it's hard. You can use Polska kielbasa or kielbasa sausage, which has a little spicy flavor. So I'm adding our sausage in here because I also want to give it a little char. I want to give that sausage, I love charred meat. Ooh, it has best flavor. This is a little smoky, but this is our temporary home right now until we get our home built. So I am working with what I got. And you know what? That's what you're going to do too. You're going to work with what you got, right? And as long as it comes out tasting good and everybody in the family's happy, it is okay. So I'm sauteing this a little bit, want to get a little char going. Even on the onions, they might caramelize a little bit. Just going to make this a lot better. Now, if you're wanting to cook red beans and rice, it's going to take some time, especially if you do the overnight thing. So you might want to do this on a Saturday or a Sunday. Cook it on a Saturday or a Sunday when you have time. And that's really, back in the day when my grandmother was cooking, that's what they did. They'd cook it on the weekend. they would probably have a leftover ham hock or ham bone and from Sunday lunch after church, and they would put that in their beans on Monday. So our sausage has been charring a little bit, and we've got a little glaze on the pot. We're going to have to deglaze that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pour my beans, and I'm going to go ahead and pour the water and the beans in here. Every single bit of them. Yep. Turn that up and get that to boiling. It took about 15 minutes for this to come to a boil. And now I'm going to add some of my seasoning. I brought it to a boil, and now I'm going to turn it down to about medium low. I'm going to put a little bit of thyme in here. Not much. A little bit of smoked smoky paprika. And I have a secret that's going to go into it later on. Do a little bit of crushed black pepper. We're going to start with about a tablespoon of salt. Anybody that cooks beans knows that it takes a lot of salt to give them flavor. Now, if you're cooking this at high altitude in Colorado, just know that your time is probably going to be doubled when you cook beans because of the altitude. Also, I did not mention when I was slicing up my andouille sausage, a lot of people like them in circles or rounds, but I like to get a little piece of meat in every bite. So I cut my rounds in half, and that makes me feel like I'm getting more of the sausage in there. So it's at a boil, turning it down to a medium low. Gonna put a lid on it, and we are going to let this cook for an hour. I'll probably come in here every so often and stir it to make sure it's not sticking to the bottom, and also to check and see if any of the liquid has evaporated and if I need to add more. Because the main thing you want to remember about cooking beans is you don't want to eat a hard bean. You want them to be tender and soft. Gonna add my slap ya mama. I'm also gonna add some donkey dust, which I'm almost out. And my son, who lives in Florida, he has a friend in Louisiana that knows where to get this stuff. It's kind of hard to find, so I'm excited to get that. So I'm gonna let it simmer for about an hour, and we'll come back and check on it then. It's been cooking now for about 30 minutes, and my house smells delicious. As you can tell, I added a couple of bay leaves. And now for my little secret, liquid smoke. So I'm just going to put about a 1/4 teaspoon liquid smoke to give it a little smoky flavor. And I'm going to cover it and let it simmer for about 30 more minutes. But in the meantime, let me see if our beans are getting tender. Oh yeah. Woo! Oh my gosh, I'm in love. It's gonna be great. So I think in 30 minutes, it's gonna be tender. We can go ahead and get some rice going. Put a little bit of rice over this. I like to get a little parsley put on top. So let's check it again in about 30 minutes and see how it's doing. Hey everybody, we are back. Our beans are done. They smell amazing. Got the rice made. So we're going to go ahead and make us a little bowl and test them out. Look at that. Ooh, I'm kind of scraping the bottom here. Let me add a little bit more donkey dust because I like it a little extra spicy. Little donkey dust. Stir it a little bit. And I love the juice. I love to make sure it's got some juice in there. Here's my beans. Put a little rice on top. And I am also going to sprinkle a little green onion. I love some green onion on my beans and rice. It's delicious. And now for the test, the real test. Let's see how they taste. I outdid myself this time. Easy recipe, takes a while to cook, but it is well worth it. All right, another show, another recipe. Y'all have a great week. I'll see you next Tuesday, and I'll have my new microphone hooked up. Have a blessed day. Can't wait for Bruce to get home. He is gonna love this. He is gonna love me. Woo!